Hello guys, I'm Greg.
I'm John.
I'm Andrew.
We're here today because we're going to recap the movie news of the week of September of the 12th of the So first story today, Sully, Clint Eastwood's movie starring Tom Hanks, Sully Sullenberger. I saw this movie last night. I haven't released my movie review of it. I'm really glad this film's doing well. It's the second week in a row where Clint Eastwood's new film has topped the box office. People were expecting that maybe Blair Witch might beat it out. Blair Witch is actually underperforming.
I'm a little surprised.
You're a little surprised by that?
I'm a little surprised it's underperforming so much. Because it's been so many years and, it's an iconic movie. I feel like people would have turned up. And especially, it's a pretty good trailer.
I mean, this is cool for Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks hasn't had a film where he's been number one at the box office in almost a decade, actually.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I would say Clint Eastwood, he's had a pretty good track record his last few films. The one last year he had with Bradley Cooper, that film
American Sniper.
That made
so
shit ton
much
of money. Clint Eastwood's on a good tear right now. So this doesn't shock me in terms of his movie being on top, but I thought Blair Witch would have made, like you said, a little more money for sure.
And Bridget Jones, I don't recall these movies ever making much money.
Well,
people seem a little surprised that it's not doing well at the box office. So I'm like, Renee Zellweger, she hasn't been hot at the box office in a very, very long time. And the Bridget Jones movies are they're so spread apart, the sequels.
And they're also
There's such a limited fan base for them too.
They're also coming back from a pretty poorly received second movie too. So I've heard pretty good things about the third Bridget Jones. It's not as broad of an appeal.
And also, like you said, it's been a long time since the last movie. It's not even stuck in my mind of when the last film even came out, so I have no interest in really seeing it, even though I have heard some okay things as well. That's more of a rented kind of movie for me.
Alright, so Hugh Jackman's last outing as Wolverine for Wolverine 3. Bryan Singer has confirmed that Mr. Sinister will be the villain in Wolverine 3. I saw the show growing up, and I know he's a big part of season 2 of the show, the animated series. Did you see the animated series?
I love the animated series.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, he was a big part of that, but I just loved this character in general, just his backstory of how, spoilers if any of you don't know his backstory, he lost his wife and his child, and Apocalypse gave him his powers. And he's just such a really cool villain. He's got super speed. He's immortal. He can do a lot of damage. So it's just
crazy.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see him in a solo Wolverine film. It's going to be interesting to see. Then you mentioned Bryan Singer is the one announcing. I believe Bryan Singer is the producer, and James Mangold, the director of the second Wolverine film, is directing this. So I'm really interested to see the infusion of Sinister into this. It's going to be interesting because I'm a big fan of this character.
And they really are trying to make a much bigger cinematic universe here. Introducing Apocalypse. Granted, what you think about the film, in terms of just a villain, that was the biggest villain the X-Men franchise has had thus far. They're really making it tie in because X-Men Apocalypse only had a Wolverine cameo, but it ends with, what's Sinister's real name?
Nathaniel Essex, and you see Essex Corps on the briefcase.
Which is linking to Wolverine 3, so they really are making their cinematic universe more defined. What I'm interested in seeing is how Wolverine will take him down. I know a big part of Sinister's backstory is he's weak to Cyclops' beams.
Yes.
Cyclops doesn't seem like he'll be a part of this movie, but it wouldn't be surprising if he was, if he cameoed.
Come in the end to defeat.
Yeah, you just blew the ending, dude.
It seems like an impossible villain for Wolverine to take down.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Sinister, he deals a lot with cloning, so I imagine that at the end of Apocalypse, what they're probably hinting at is that he's going to try to somehow clone his weapon X DNA, which might lead to X-23, which is the Wolverine in the comics, I believe, currently, right?
Yeah, the female Wolverine, that's correct.
Whoa. Female Wolverine, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. That'd be neat. Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Me personally, I want to see Bryan Cranston play Mr. Sinister. I think that'd be a really good choice.
That'd be a great choice.
Well, and I hope that I know he's supposed to have, a certain amount of intellect, and I hope they play that up,
Yeah.
I hope they use that to their advantage and don't just go with all the cool powers and shit. We're gonna fight and not die
and end the world. One big world-ending event. I want also to I want the stakes to be high for sure, but I don't want it to be another world-ending event. Keep it more personal. The story,
And Gal Gadot as X-23 is how they should top off the franchise.
That'd be interesting.
Mad Max Fury Road news. It was one of the biggest Oscar surprises of the last Oscar event because it won like the most Oscars, didn't it? Didn't
Yeah,
it win
it won
like
a lot
it
of
won
Oscars.
so many
It's not the
Oscars.
humongous big ones like director or any of those, but it did win a lot of technical
Yeah,
Like,
ones
we're
for
not
sure.
gonna give you the prestige award, like
all the
main
technical
awards, but
awards.
we're gonna
Yeah.
give you everything else because
Yeah.
we fucking love you, dude.
And I mean, there's two exciting things about it. First one is it's been officially announced that the black and white edition, because George Miller did set out to originally make Fury Road in black and white, which I'm glad he didn't. I think it's much cooler that they're giving us the black and white edition in December as a special release.
Yeah.
Because after seeing the movie in color, it's like, I would have been a little bummed out that if black and white was the only edition we got first.
Well, and actually, like the choice when they couldn't go with black and white, I thought that kind of helped make the movie even more interesting because they went the opposite of the color palette we usually get for these movies. So everything is so orange or so blue.
It looks
and,
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like very striking, and to have all that color is kind of amazing. But I love black and white, so I'm excited for this.
The idea of seeing it in color and then seeing it in black and white, that does sound like something that's special, you know what I mean? And also, too, for people who aren't into the idea of black and white, great, here you go. You get your version in December. People who like in color, you already got your version. So you get the best of both worlds. So I like the idea.
The other story with the Fury Road that I'm not too interested. Like, this one is a big rumor. They might do a prequel to Fury Road based more on Furiosa. Some rumors are saying that it might be about when Furiosa was working with Immortan Joe. And they're saying that George Miller would helm this one too. It just doesn't seem like it's along the lines of what George Miller would do, because he already said that he has like 2 stories already really thought out that he wants to follow up with Fury Road. This doesn't seem along the lines at all. To me, it just sounds like a rumor. I don't know. Furiosa's a cool supporting character. I don't know if even though she was like pretty much became the lead of Fury Road. I don't know. I wouldn't want to really see a Mad Max movie without Mad Max. And I like I like for the next Mad Max to get more of Mad Max in there too.
I don't dislike the idea of seeing a more Furiosa-centered movie. I'd rather see a sequel, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, the prequel, I almost feel like, like...
It's almost it's
I don't
very
need it.
unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like we got Fury Road, and we got, like, a critical point in this woman's life, and now I want to see where she goes. It's like, we already kind of get what happened before. I don't need to see it in greater detail as much for my own, like, longing, as a moviegoer.
Justice League, in honor of Batman Day that just happened recently, they released a black and white still, of Commissioner Gordon, J.K. Simmons standing by the bat light.
Yeah.
Looking
Bat
up
signal.
bat light by the bat signal, waiting for Batty to show up. But you were saying that you have some theories about this particular.
Yeah,
moment.
I think I was reading a little bit about some of the set reports. I believe all 4 of the Justice League members, or not all of them, but 4 of them, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, and Cyborg at some point comes on here. I believe Cyborg's father has been kidnapped by parademons, and now Cyborg that's why he's willing to join the Justice League now to help, rescue his father.
Wow.
Yeah. Getting back to this picture of J.K. Simmons, he just looks like Commissioner Gordon to me. I like the look of it, and like I said, this scene, from everything I've been reading, it sounds like at the end of it, when they all find out what their mission or what they have to do, they all storm off really fast, and the Flash is the only one left there with Commissioner Gordon, and looking at him like, whoa, they go fast like that. And he goes, yeah, they do that. But it's like,
I read a report about that.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, Flash is usually the first one out
Yeah.
there. So for him to be shocked and on a team where guys are getting out there fast, I like that cohesion, that chemistry, just of what I'm hearing about the set reports. And like I said, just seeing J.K. Simmons, he just looks like Commissioner Gordon straight out of the comic books for me. Yeah.
And I know Justice League, they're intentionally trying to infuse more humor into the DCEU now, especially with Jeff Johns on board now. They're trying to make it much more light.
And to stick to the themes that really bring these characters to life and bring some hope and some humanity back to it.
And I feel like J.K. Simmons is a great addition for it because, J.K. Simmons, we all know he's an amazing dramatic actor, but he also excels in comedic roles.
J.
too.
Jonah Jameson?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So funny.
To this day, I think that is probably the best adapted comic book character
He's
I've ever
right
seen.
out of the comic book, right out of the pages.
He's
No, for sure.
perfect.
I wouldn't argue that. Him and Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., those are 2 of the top ones for me.
So I feel like if they're going to try to infuse more humor, I feel like to get a great dramatic actor who also excels in comedy, I think J.K. Simmons is a perfect choice for Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, he can kind of split the difference, and I'm really excited to see what he does with this character, especially having seen him play J. Jonah Jameson so many times. It's like, to do something a little bit different, but in the same, corner of the video store, I'm excited to see what he can do.
I couldn't agree anymore with you guys. The only question is, I want to see if he throws a chair at Ben Affleck and tries to slam it in. That would be interesting.
And also in honor of Batman Day, Zack Snyder released a photo of Batman looking a lot like Night Owl. But Night Owl looked a lot like Batman, so who knows?
In
Well,
Watchmen.
isn't Night Owl supposed to be kind of a riff on Batman?
Yeah, he is. And also Zack Snyder directed Watchmen, so it's all coming full circle.
And Batman v Superman has some Easter eggs towards Watchmen, which kind of makes sense because I know Watchmen's now in the DC universe. This photo looks really cool of Batman. This doesn't strike me as his main suit, though.
No, I agree.
And Batman v Superman, like the main Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight Returns suit.
Yeah,
Mechanical
it's
suit.
not in it the whole time. And this feels like this will probably be the special suit that he goes to at some point. Because even Zack Snyder says a tactical Batsuit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say he probably, like you said, he needs this suit to be agile and for defense. I'd say against parademons would be my guess. You know, Darkseid and Steppenwolf's minions. So he's gonna. And again, the action scenes we saw in Batman v Superman, where him and Superman are fighting, where he's in that armor suit, it's cool, but it was a little bit clunky too when he's moving around in the suit.
Yeah.
So from an agile perspective and how much quicker and faster he's gonna look, I love the look of this. I don't mind the goggles. Yeah, it is a little Night Owl, but whatever. So what? It's Batman can wear anything he wants. He's gonna look sick as hell. And again, I do like the tactical look, like you said, of the armor plates and everything. It does look like a variation of the Arkham Knight and kind of like a Christopher Nolan suit infused with some armor. So it does look really sick.
The daytime hurts my eyes.
And in terms of the goggles too, I mean, like I saw Watchmen twice. I don't remember the goggles playing a significant part in a suit other than the aesthetic look.
Yeah.
I feel like with Batman though, the goggles will probably be a very specific thing that does something specific to allow him to enhance his abilities in whatever situation he's in.
Yeah, it's like I'm alright with it. Like the way we do comic book movies now, especially, it seems like of course he's got like multiple suits for different, like different challenges and different terrains and different situations.
It's official. Tom Cruise is finally officially signed on to be in Mission Impossible 6. There's been a lot of talks about like contract disputes, and I know it's going to start filming in mid-27. It was supposed to originally start filming in January 2017. What did I say? 27?
The year 27.
Damn, that's a long
New
time.
calendar.
The Mission Impossible franchise is the one thing that has really kept Tom Cruise's career strongly afloat. Because when he was coming out like I'm in love with Katie Holmes and all this Scientology
Dancing
publicity,
on Oprah's couch.
his movies were not doing well.
Yeah.
And even Mission Impossible 3 wasn't doing well. And I remember when people felt that his comeback was like his strong, steady comeback was really happening was with Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
And then Rogue Nation to me was one of my favorite films of
so
2015.
good.
I'm excited he's returning for it. I never doubted for a second that he wouldn't return for it.
Yeah.
It's more like, what the fuck's the holdup, guys?
It's all those contracts because they're gonna cross it over with the Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, my whole thing was, like you, I knew he was going to sign at some point. It's like, you see how much money the last two films have made, and also the last few Tom Cruise films from Edge of Tomorrow and Mission Impossible 5, Mission Impossible 4, Jack Reacher. I mean, these are some really good movies, and Tom Cruise is worth the money, so I knew it was going to happen eventually. I would have been pissed if it wouldn't have happened, so I'm glad it finally got worked out.
Something makes me feel like they were kind of holding some stuff against him because I feel like Tom Cruise's movies, the only films that Tom Cruise seems to do in the States that do exceptionally well in the States domestically are the Mission Impossible films. I feel like his other films, even like Edge of Tomorrow, which is like an amazing film, it pretty much performed really well overseas, not so much
Badly
domestically.
marketed, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, totally. And the one people weren't clear on what the title was.
Yeah, I thought it was more like that other video game movie he just done with Morgan Freeman. What was the one called?
Tom Cruise and Morgan Freeman?
Tom Cruise and Morgan Freeman. They just done it like a year or two before that. It was like from a video game movie.
Look this shit up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I should know this off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's why I'm shocked you guys
It's in
didn't.
like every Tom Cruise movie. Tom Cruise.
Oh, Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Oh yeah, Oblivion.
I actually liked it.
But that was another one where it did well It didn't do that well domestically, but it did really well overseas. Because I feel like people are less sensitive to his public persona overseas. What I'm not excited for is the Mummy reboot that he's going to do.
I am.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
I've read the whole plot description of it.
I haven't read the plot.
I've seen set photos, and I'm just like, this does not just seem like it's going to really be that great.
No, I feel you, but like I said, the last like 4 or 5 Tom Cruise films that have come out recently, I've really enjoyed. And granted, they were more action, mystery solving films than most of them, and this is more in the horror genre, which is not really Tom Cruise's forte.
Well, I hope it's the horror genre is the thing, because I've heard their plan to make like a cinematic universe and make it more kind of action adventure-y. I really do hope that they're gonna keep the horror at least strongly represented there. Yeah. And I would love to see honestly, I would like to see Tom Cruise in a horror movie.
Yeah, Interview with the Vampire. I mean, I don't know if you would call that horror, but that's one of my last, like, his real taste of horror. But
it's like a homoerotic thriller.
With horror elements.
But yeah, just adding to what you said, no, I don't mind if they go the action-adventure route in The New Mummy, but I do want a lot of horror elements infused in there, you know? Not saying jump scares, but just that feeling of, you know, suspense and
creepy. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm
curious.
certainly open to the idea that it could be good, and I hope it's good. Like, I want it to work. I'd like to see the Universal monsters come back, and I'd like to see, like, it sounds like they want to, their plan reminded me of Van Helsing, and that's a movie I really wanted to be good, because it could have been, like, so I hope that they make that chance work now,
But in the meantime, we could see Tom Cruise and Jack Reacher Never Go Back with Colby Smulders on the Smulders.
Colby Smudlows.
I'm actually looking forward to that, but I really wish Christopher McQuarrie was coming back. But I do like Edward Zwick directing the new Jack Reacher. His last outing with Tom Cruise was The Last Samurai, film I really enjoyed. So I'm curious to see what Edward Zwick does with Tom Cruise again.
Star Wars The Force Awakens has a new competitor that's not Star Trek. It's 50 Shades Darker.
Yeah.
50 Shades Darker is topped The Force Awakens as the most viewed trailer in the first 24 hours, which honestly is kind of shocking to me.
I'm actually not, for some reason I'm not super duper surprised. It's just amusing to me.
I find it very surprising because Star Wars is an exceptionally more built-in fan base and has been around for way longer. 50 Shades of Grey's only prior source material is a shitty first movie with okay books, I guess.
But it's such a ubiquitous phenomenon that you got to imagine you have the people who it's for checking in, and then you have the other people with the morbid curiosity going, all right, I gotta see this shit. What the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, not only that, and I think too, it also proves that there's a lot of horny people out there wanting to see how much nudity they're gonna see in a trailer too, and what are like the main set pieces, you know, that are gonna be in the film that's gonna draw them to see the film.
It's just kind of sad because the 50 Shades Darker trailer is just kind of a shit trailer. I
didn't see
like. There's nothing about it where I'm like, why is this such a popular trailer? Yeah.
I think that's why so many people tune in too, is, you know, because the first movie is kind of underwhelming in terms of how steamy it is, and so I think people wanted to see, like, are they really gonna double down? And the answer appears to be not really.
I didn't see it, but I heard that the beginning says, like, forget the past or something. It's like, all right, try to erase the first movie out of her. Yeah, it's like, all right.
All right, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is weird because it's kind of like the first Marvel show out of the MCU, and it seems to be the one around that no one really gives a shit about.
I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets a lot of passes. They're like, hey, everybody loves Marvel. We got to keep this shit on the air. We're doing crossovers. We cannot stop.
I think it's great what they're doing. I think it's clever marketing. And it's the first time where I'm like, I want to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Because, I mean, they got Ghost Rider in there now. And everyone knows that Ghost Rider was, like, not a great 2 films with Nick Cage.
Ghost Rider is like a guilty pleasure at best. Like,
let's ride.
Yeah, exactly. And
Skull's on fire. I'm good.
One thing I gotta say though is I think it's cool they got Gabriel Luna to play him. Like, this is like the first like Latino actor they're getting to play a superhero. Yeah, and I think it's cool that they got a Hispanic actor to play such a well-known Marvel hero who was previously played by a white guy, you know. Yeah. And I don't know the source material of Ghost Rider that well. I don't know if like he's Hispanic or white. To top it off, like this adds a new edge to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Ghost Rider's a very dark character. He kills people. And it seems like they're kind of trying to bring a Punisher vibe of what they did with Daredevil Season 2.
Absolutely.
It seems like they're trying to do the same thing here, but instead of just a guy who goes on like mass killings, that this guy, he talks with spirits and demons and shit, you know?
Yeah, granted, I'm only up to Season 2, Episode 1 of this show, but I mean, I think they were getting...
skip them and go to this one.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm still gonna watch, but I mean, now I'm gonna watch a lot quicker, but granted, like in the first season, there's a lot of name dropping about Thor, about Iron Man, about Captain America, and it just like, this is, like you said, from a marketing standpoint, this makes me want to watch it a lot quicker and get into a lot more, and I think you made a great comparison on what they did with Punisher and Daredevil was just his tragic backstory and how they infused it into it. I'm really intrigued, like just from what the little footage and snippets we've seen, it looks really intriguing. And I don't know a lot about Ghost Rider either in terms of the source material, but I think he might have been. There's a few different variations, and I think one of them might have actually been Hispanic in the comics that drives a car. So
I see.
I think they are actually sticking the comic book roots here. I could be wrong, but I believe they are.
But it's cool that they're just getting a Latino character in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I mean that promo they put out for him looks badass. Like that looks more along the lines of the stuff they're doing on Netflix than a Netflix.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Show,
because the Netflix and Marvel shows are dark. And it's cool that they're adding that dark edge into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just couldn't get into. I mean, I tried watching the whole first season. I just really couldn't get into it. And I know a lot of people have a harder time getting into that show beyond the other Netflix shows. And I feel like this is kind of taking inspiration from that. I know the Russo brothers were actually acknowledging in a recent interview that they might start thinking about for Infinity War.
They're thinking about it.
About actually including the characters from the television show.
Because they really need that show to do well.
Well, look, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole Infinity War talk, but just from that perspective, like, if they are going to include characters from the show, I don't mind that. It's just, there's going to be a lot going on in those films with Thanos and obviously everything. I don't mind if, like, the world's ending or something crazy's come in, and then we see just a shot of, like, the defenders in New York, and we see Ghost Rider and them looking up in the sky like they're fighting the same kind of battle. It's just they're not the main focus of the film. Just acknowledging, oh, they're a part of this. It's just we're not going to focus a crazy amount on them because there's going to be an inordinate amount of characters in the Avengers Infinity War. I mean, I mean, they said 67. I don't know if I believe that number, but there's gonna be like a while back. That's what they were saying. Jeez. That was the number. But I mean, who knows how many characters there's gonna be? But like I said, this really intrigues me, and I want to catch up now much quicker now on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Well, this might be able to solve the conundrum because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is in an odd position because they are a network show, and network shows have certain earmarks and certain aesthetic feelings, you know, and things that they can't really go for. And at least, like I said, that promo looks like they're doubling down on the grit. You know?
And the effects, too, looked for TV.
Yeah.
Totally.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, this was an interesting report that came out this week, too. Rebecca Hall, who played Maya Hansen in Iron Man 3, she revealed that she was supposed to be the original main villain in Iron Man 3, which, of course, if you guys saw it, they made it Aldrich Killian, is his name?
Yes,
Aldrich Killian. Which is weird because I think out of all Marvel films, that's the most debated one because of its twists, of the Mandarin and all that shit that happens. And then this is just another article that just like adds to that film's like debate and controversy.
Yeah.
Because I did feel this character was not the most necessary. Like halfway through the film, I felt like she wasn't that necessary. Hearing the way they wrote it is kind of like, I see why I kind of felt that way now.
I see what happened here. The big hand
Yeah.
of the studio came in. And
Well, yeah,
yanked
like,
you, right?
yeah, definitely. Like you said, like the first half of that movie, she was being built up more to be like that villain type of character, and then just out of nowhere, just gets shot. So I mean, it does make sense what she's saying. What I find funny is they didn't find an appeal to her because they wanted to sell toys, I guess. But it's like,
no one's gonna buy a girl toy.
Who's gonna buy an Aldrich Killian?
Yeah, Aldrich Killian. Like, who's
Aldrich
waving around their Aldrich
Killian.
Killian toys? Like, who's got Aldrich Killian toys around right now?
My favorite villain, hands down, Aldrich Killian.
I'm the Mandarin! They are making kind of amends now. They got Captain Marvel coming out. Black Widow is a much bigger figure character, even though at some point maybe I would possibly like to see a solo film versus if Joss Whedon's directing it. I'd actually be very interested in that. They are doing a little more, you know, with...
In the MCU TV shows, we got Jessica Jones.
Yeah, no, so they are doing a lot, you know, bigger and better things for female characters. So I do like that they are righting wrongs, but it's kind of upsetting a little bit and also laughable that they thought selling toys would be their, you know, why they wanted to kill this character. And also I find it hysterical when Rebecca Hall says, they just came up to me in the middle of shooting and said, what would you feel if you got shot? It's like, yeah, that's different than what I read in the script. How would you feel?
You got shot.
Yeah.
It's such a...
nowhere.
I could just imagine being in her position.
What a random
being
question.
on set, like, how hurtful that must be
Oh,
for
yeah.
an actress to feel like you finally got this huge
You're the
fucking
villain.
film.
Nobody
Yeah.
had your back.
Yeah.
And then halfway
That's
through,
fine.
you're not the villain anymore.
Yeah.
Because we gotta sell
which villain
toys.
just killed you? Yeah. I remember watching Iron Man 3 and liking that part of how, like, Pepper Potts was a little bit intimidated and threatened by her.
The love triangle.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It was good.
and I thought that her and Robert Downey had good chemistry, and even her and Gwyneth Paltrow had good chemistry. So she was a good character. I mean, they could have at least kept her around. It's instead of just killing her
Yeah,
off.
so
You know?
Yeah.
We cannot have you here.
Yeah. Instead, they kill her off with, if you watch the film, it's a big continuity error. Aldrich Killian has no gun in his hand. He's got his bare hand. And next shot, he's just got a gun in his hand and kills her. It was just a badly poor
That's how
edited shot.
evil he is. He can just conjure a gun up out of
Well,
nowhere.
he is the Mandarin.
180-year-old legend Stanley is gonna be getting a
Sounds right.
biopic finally. I mean, no, that's crazy. This guy's like, what, 93 right now?
Is he
He'll be
gonna make-
94 late December.
Is he gonna make a cameo in it?
He'll probably be the star of it. They're going to do a biopic about him. The interesting thing about it that I'm actually drawn to the idea of it is they're pitching it as an action-adventure movie,
Yeah.
which is cool. It kind of reminds me of Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, that George Clooney directed that, Charlie Kaufman script, Sam Rockwell starred in it. And that was a biopic, but they kind of made it like a spy movie at the same time of this like game show host, like especially when they like dived into his mind and stuff.
Okay.
And I feel like that's kind of like what they'll probably do here. I mean, I don't imagine they're gonna like really alter facts of things. I imagine they'll probably cut from reality then to Stanley's imagination at the time, and then we go into that. You
Just
know,
make it like a comic book.
I could be totally off here. It kind of sounded a little bit, not from little snippets, just like a little bit of Goosebumps, where like, you know how Jack Black is playing R.L. Stein, and like his books now are coming to life. I was thinking like something like in that
Oh, that
style.
would be cool too.
Yeah, that'd be
Tell you
like,
something about Steve King.
I mean, the quote that we got here is that's going to be a 1970 set picture has been described as being in the tone of Kingsman, Secret Service, and Roger Moore's 007. Specifically, Roger Moore's 007.
Everybody has a different flavor.
little
Yeah.
octopusy in there.
Yeah.
Shake it.
My question is, who's gonna play Stanley? I mean, obviously, I know you're gonna say Stanley, but like in reality, who's really gonna play Stanley?
Ben Affleck.
Oh, they were Mallrats. They were Mallrats
Toby
co-stars, right?
Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Stanley.
Clint Eastwood.
Tom
Do
Hardy.
you think they're gonna do what they did in Captain America: Civil War and Ant-Man, where they get the younger digital version, like of Robert Downey Jr. and
Yeah.
also Michael Douglas, where they make their face look younger? That
Yeah,
they're
they
gonna
should
do that with Stanley.
but make him still sound 93 years old when
Yeah,
he does.
that'd be
My
funny.
voice has sounded like this since I was 14.
I wrote J. Jonah Jameson.
Spider-Man! I thought a human spider. Whenever he tells his stories of how he came up with these characters,
Oh,
it's like the
that's-
most simple things he thought of.
I love listening to Stanley.
I thought, what if a man got angry and green?
I like that your Stanley is like slowly turning into half Al Pacino.
Yeah, let's not examine my impressions that deep. Okay, so many years ago, I saw a movie in the theaters that was a delightful surprise. Really wasn't expecting to just wildly enjoy it. To this day, if I watch it again, I think it's great. The Rundown.
Dude, The
that
Rundown's
Peter
good.
Berg that really put him on the map in terms of like
Director.
yeah, as a director, because I know he did acting before. I feel like a lot of people don't remember that.
Collateral
Peter
was my
Berg.
first thing I ever saw.
That's right. He was in Collateral.
One of the
He was in
Collateral?
Cop.
He was the partner of Mark Ruffalo in Collateral.
No.
Yeah.
Barely in it, but he's in
Yeah,
Cop.
he's in a few
Remember him in
scenes.
Copland?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's like kind of abusive to his wife.
Oh no.
Anyway, yeah, Peter Berg, he did The Rundown, and that was the first movie I saw with The Rock, where I was like, whoa, he did a good job actually.
Yeah.
Because before that he had The Scorpion King, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
not a good film, and
Chuck Russell did that.
yeah, and he's barely in The Mummy Returns, so it wasn't enough to really judge his acting
They
skills.
really
CGI.
built that up, and then he shows
And then
up
the
as a
visual
CGI
effects of it, I'm like,
monster.
what the hell? When I saw it in theaters, I was like, that's a joke.
But The Rundown, I thought he was great.
Uh-huh.
Like the whole cast is great. It doesn't sound like they're interested in getting Sean William
Yeah,
Scott
that
to
was-
return,
that was- yeah.
which sucks because I thought Sean William Scott was hilarious on his own, but I thought him and Dwayne Johnson worked so fucking well together.
Well, it seems like that would be a nice chance to bring him back. I mean, I don't know what he's doing now, but I know a lot of people really like that movie he did a couple years ago called Goon. It's a hockey movie.
Yeah, that was good.
And like,
Yeah.
I know people are clamoring for him to come back after that, so like, it kind of bums me out they
Yeah.
wouldn't
And
get him for
I've
this.
seen The Rundown too several times, and for me too, I feel like that movie, that's right before Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor of California. I feel like that film, he's a baby cameo in it. I feel like that movie's kind of a passing of the torch
Yeah.
from Arnold to The Rock, like, have fun, like, you're taking over for me
Yeah.
as the action star. I'm going into politics. So I kind of felt like it's that. You nailed it on the head. I love the chemistry and the cohesion between Sean William Scott and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I'm all for Jonah Hill being in the sequel if they do actually make it. I just would like Sean William Scott to be in there somewhere as well, because that was a big part of. I mean, obviously, I did love the action in the film. I loved seeing Christopher Walken as the villain in the film as well, the first film. But the main draw for me in that film was the chemistry between The Rock and Sean William
Yeah.
Scott, and I just really enjoyed all the scenes between them, and I thought they had great chemistry. So At the minimum, I want to see Sean William Scott. I wouldn't even say a cameo, but I want to see him back in somewhat of a little bit of a prolific role. But if worst case scenario, I guess you would go cameo.
What I think they should do is get Kevin Hart instead of Sean William Scott. That seems to be the go-to move.
Jumanji now, Central Intelligence.
Yeah,
What?
I feel like this would be
Kevin Hart's in Jumanji?
Yeah, it's Kevin Hart and
Jack
Dwayne
Black.
Johnson.
And Jack Black.
What?
No one really cares about Jack Black. It's Kevin Hart
And,
and
and,
Dwayne
it's,
Johnson.
it's not
Jack
and,
Black.
and it's not a
Very
remake.
much.
It's a continuation. It's not I guess I don't know a sequel, but it's a continuation of the story. They will mention Alan Parrish, Robin Williams' character in the film.
I mean, in this interview though with Peter Berg, he mentions Jonah Hill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think he
6
really wants him back in
Yeah.
the movie, just a little bit.
He
Seems
says
like
his name
he's pretty
6 times in like 3 sentences.
Sean William who?
He clearly wants to do the rundown too. With I mean, Dwayne Johnson's on board. Seems like Dwayne Johnson's willing to do
doing
anything
everything.
right now. Yeah. That guy just doesn't sleep. He just works out and reads scripts and films, and that's
He's a wrestler, man.
Yeah.
He's
and,
on a
and then he
fucking
wrestles
show.
and he goes on WWE too.
He goes to
He doesn't
WWE,
sleep.
he's got an HBO show,
And he's got a
in all
kid,
these
and he's got a
movies.
family.
And he's got a family.
Jeez.
But his family's falling apart.
Is it?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to assume so because he's never there
He's
for them.
how is he home?
Best manager of time. Of all time.
Gotta spend 1 hour with my kid. But with Jonah Hill, though, that'd be cool to see Jonah Hill and The Rock going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what.
I'd rather
there's
see
no
it-
details of what Peter Berg would want to do with the rundown too, other than I really want Dwayne Johnson and Jonah Hill to be in it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them team up. I'd kind of rather see them team up in something that's not the rundown again. Just because, like, when you come back to a property that had an important chemistry at the core of it, I feel like it's never the same when you replace that chemistry.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I agree, and I'm not comparing this to The Nice Guys, the new film that just came out, which is a film I really enjoyed, but the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, that's like saying they're going to make The Nice Guys 2 with no Ryan Gosling, a new they're just going to use a new character. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's interesting.
Or like doing a Lethal Weapon show for Fox.
Oh, don't even get me started, please.
Without-
Stop, I'm going to get
Glover.
really angry right now.
All right, last story of the day. It was reported that I don't know how to say it. How do you say that?
Michael G-
Alexander Desplat.
Oh,
Alexander Desplat will no longer be scoring Rogue One. Michael Giacchino,
That's
who's an Italian. I like
Love
Italians. Michael Giacchino will actually be scoring Rogue One, which is really exciting. He's done a lot of awesome films. I mean, I have a filmography. Whoop, that's the wrong person.
Up.
Yeah, he did.
That's one of my
He did
favorites
Up.
ever.
I mean, he's done a lot of J.J. Abrams.
Star Trek.
works.
A lot of J.J.
MI3, Star Trek in the Darkness.
I think
Lost,
he did Mission
Alias.
Impossible Ghost Protocol also, unless I was mistaken.
He might have. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Which is
And
a
a lot
cool
of-
choice.
and a lot of
And
Pixar.
The Incredibles, yeah, and
Well, that's Brad
Inside
Bird,
Out.
Ghost Protocol, so I'm sure it's Michael now.
Yeah. In terms of the direction that Star Wars has been going, granted, I want Rogue One to be its own standalone piece and not feel like it has to succumb to certain franchise things. I mean, I'm sure that the original composer that they had would have been great, but based off the works of
Plus
Michael
music's fucking
Giacchino
great.
and the fact that he's worked with J.J. Abrams a lot, that he probably seems like he'd be a stronger choice in terms of the music for this. And just looking off the footage that we've gotten of Rogue One, I feel like the music that I've heard of him do, that he would have that. I don't know. I love like the Star Trek and the Star Trek Into Darkness music.
Yeah, I feel like he'll do a good job still. I mean, I was excited because I really enjoy Desplat every time I usually find myself enjoying the music and then I'll see his name in the credits and go, so
Yeah.
I'm bummed to see him go, but hey, Giacchino's done some great work too.
It's a two-way street for me. I'm a very big Desplat fan. If you have not heard the soundtrack for Harry Potter and the Deathly House Part 2, I really advise you to listen. It's amazing and it's epic. I was really looking forward to seeing what he was going to do with this. On the flip side, I do like Giacchino a lot. Like you said, Up, Inside Out, the first 2 Star Trek films. He's done a lot of films that I love the scores to. So while I am looking forward to that, I am rather curious as to what the heck happened with Desplat. Like, because they said, according to what we were reading, it said that there was some scheduling conflicts due to extensive reshoots, and maybe that's true. Like, look, I'm not half as busy as Desplat. I'm not even maybe a quarter as busy. But the point I'm making is, I get it. Hectic schedule's happening, but this is a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Scheduling conflicts for a Star Wars movie? It's just, I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not saying they're lying, but I have a hard time believing this story that that's the exact reason he left. So
Maybe he was just like, I get work, man. They're gonna make 1 million of these Star Wars movies. I'll hit you on the next one.
maybe, but again, to follow John Williams in Star Wars, I feel like there's a little more to this story than I had some scheduling conflicts due to extensive reshoots, because reshoots happen all the time in films. Like, composers make do with what they have in Star Wars. I'm sure whatever his filmography is now, he would have said, guys, I'm doing Star Wars. Can we push back a little something?
But that's the contention with this movie is we don't know what kind of reshoots, and the rumors are that they, Disney wanted to change a lot of the tone and change a lot of the things.
I heard Desplat was sleeping with Gareth Edwards, and then in the middle of shooting, they broke up. It was a nasty breakup.
Yeah.
And now they can't work together. Because it's just,
Hey, man, you gotta stay professional.
You gotta stay pro, and unfortunately, they were fighting a lot.
This is why you don't mix business and pleasure, people.
There's a reason why a bedroom is in a home,
Helena Bonham Carter and Tim Burton. What happened to them? They're done. They're done.
But she's still starring in Alice in Wonderland films.
Yeah, but he didn't
direct it.
I know, but he produced it.
Yeah, he doesn't gotta be on set. Those were a couple phone calls. He's like, "Hey guys, this movie grossed $1 billion.
Actually, you got a point because
the
new X-Men, Tim Burton's X-Men, Miss Peregrine, whatever that movie's called.
Has Eva Green.
Yeah, there you go. It looks like an X-Men movie. Tim Burton's
the other Helena Bonham.
Yeah, but I was gonna say he picked Eva Green in that.
Eva Green is gonna be to Tim Burton what Rose McGowan was to Robert Rodriguez for a minute.
Yeah, by Michael Giacchino. Based off the filmography of Michael Giacchino, it just sounds like he's better suited for it.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially with all the Star Treks and stuff, because the new Star Trek movies are a lot like Star Wars movies.
I'm not here to say who's better. I'm not the biggest expert in music,
yeah,
especially of orchestra.
They're both great, and they're both
I love
different.
them. Exactly, I'm with you. I love them both. While I'm sure that the score that Giacchino is going to come out with is going to be epic and phenomenal, I'm still gonna enjoy every second of it. I'm still gonna have that little backwards feeling in my head, like I wonder what Desplat's score would have sounded like. Yeah. But I'm still looking very forward to Giacchino. He's a very good composer, so I'm not too bothered by this. I'm just curious. My whole thing is I'm just curious why Desplat left, other than maybe he slept with Gareth Edwards. Obviously,
yes, it's a fact.
The way things work now, I'm actually kind of curious about this. I hope that 10 years from now, he releases some of that music that he was writing, or maybe it'll pop up somewhere else. Because that happens.
I'd be down for that.
All right, guys, well, that's the movie news of the week.
Sure.
Not sure if we'll have movie news next week. I'm going to Switzerland on Wednesday. Did I tell you that?
No.
I got invited to the Zurich Film Festival, so it's a really big honor. They're gonna fly me out there, and I'm gonna get the press badges and everything. Hopefully, Mel Gibson's there for Hacksaw Ridge. That's what I'm most.
excited I heard that movie got a 10-minute ovation after the film
Venice,
ended. Where people were standing for 10 minutes just clapping.
Dude, Greg's gonna go for 20.
I'm gonna go for 20. He's talking in his Q&A.
He's so
bravo! Bravo!
Can you tone it down, please? We're trying to stop. Thank you, but just stop.
So I'm going to be in Zurich in a couple days. I'm going to be there for about a week. So I don't know how uploads will be, whatever. But hopefully you stayed through this whole movie news segment. You're new to the channel. Subscribe to The Real Rejects on Instagram and Twitter. John is at Reasons to Jerry on Twitter. He is at Agor711. He is the channel Movie Source, where he does reviews with his cousin. With Jason?
That's right.
He does reviews with Jason Bourne. So many times. And John, he has the playlist here, Reasons to Jerry, as well. And he's the social media manager of Facebook.com/Bloomhouse, Facebook.com/TheRealRejects. And even though this is some of the most thought and opinions we put into a video, we know it's not going to get more views than us doing a reaction. Thank you for being here.